Welcome back, everyone, to our Cracked Racquets coverage of the 2022 SoCal Pro Circuit. Alex Gruskin back here with you. Hope all of you enjoyed our coverage yesterday. I have to give a massive thank you to my friend Gil Gross, who filled in as I was at my oldest cousin's wedding, but have put the wedding in the rearview mirror. And if you think I'm going to miss out on a championship Sunday, well, then you haven't been tuning in to our coverage here at Cracked Racquets. Now, the good news, we have an added guest to help us enjoy all of Championship Sunday's action. Someone who's going to be able to help explain all we're seeing unfold out on the court. A man we've had the chance to speak with a couple of times here at Cracked Racquets. Of course, you know him best as a former NCAA singles champ, top 100 player. I know him as my friend Bradley Klon. Brad, welcome on to our Cracked Racquets broadcast. SoCal Pro Circuit action. Have to be excited right here on Sunday.
Alex, thanks for welcoming me onto the broadcast and all the glowing words. Really appreciate it. It's great to join you guys and watch a great finals matchup today. Couple of great matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so fortunate here to have two singles matches to bring all of you simultaneously. Our finals happening this week at the Jack Kramer Club. With that in mind, let's bring those matches out on the screen, introduce who will be competing here on Championship Sunday. We'll start on the women's side. Always fascinating when you have a 14-year-old reach her first pro circuit final. That's precisely what we have on our hands today. In wild card, Eva Jovic. Now, Jovic, a hometown favorite here. She trains at the Jack Kramer Club, trains under the guidance of Jack Kramer Club general manager Peter Smith. She knows this arena well. She has yet to drop a set this week. But Jovic, the 14-year-old, going to be taking on one of the veterans, I would say, in the draw. Hasn't played a lot of pro circuit action, but certainly if you followed the 2022 college tennis season, you know 21-year-old Erin Cayetano. She's a player on the rise, was the national fall champion of the ITA circuit, and was number one in the country at various points of the season. Now, she has dropped a couple of sets, but she's into her first pro circuit final as well. Let's start with that storyline, Brad. Again, two players competing here in their first pro circuit finals. You had that happen to you once upon a time. Talk to me about the nerves, what these players will be feeling out there.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how they both manage the start of this match. It's important for both players to really settle in on their service games, kind of work through those early jitters.
You see the match is ready to go. It's Cayetano serving first on the far side of your screen. Again, worth noting, both of these players' wild cards entries into the draw. Again, Cayetano, two main draw appearances in her career. It's the first for Jovic here. Forehand winning off the racket of Cayetano. Those who haven't seen Cayetano, it's the serve, it's the forehand. You got to have those weapons, right, Brad, as you transition onto the Pro Tour?
Yeah, in today's tennis, it's all about what weapons you can develop early on. How quickly can you get control of the points, and especially on your serve. That serve +1 is a dangerous, dangerous play.
We'll see Cayetano go for broke with that +1 forehand. To her credit, she'll play on her terms, but can be a little streaky. 2022 All-American. And ranked as high as #1 in the country in singles earlier this season. That's the ball right there, isn't it? 430 all, Brad. That forehand for Cayetano is so impactful.
Yeah, that was really impressive to see her going after that early in the match. We talked about a little bit of the nerves. It's tough when you're playing. You haven't played that many pro events. You're now your opponent on the other side of the net is a 14-year-old in her first pro event also. Can be really easy to feel that pressure early on. And I think especially for her, this first hold, just being able to get her nose out in front, weathering a little bit of the storm here, down 15-30, but it's come up with two huge forehands.
Able to find the backhand there, and you alluded to it, Brad. First pro tournament for Ivanovic, 14 years old. She's in the final. 14 years old. She's in a pro final, Brad. It's just, again, what were you doing at 14 years old? I was fresh off my bar mitzvah. I didn't have a care in the world. She's already in a pro circuit final. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
I can tell you I did not have pro tennis on my mind at 14.
Absolutely.
Probably had my head in a math book somewhere.
A typical Stanford studying at 14. Tell you what, first time watching Jovic play, I really like that backhand, Brad.
I really like that little cat and mouse game, mixing up the slice well, showing good variety early on, and you can tell Cayetano wants to be hitting forehand. She's a little bit more uncomfortable when pinned in that backhand corner, and Jovic has done a really nice job at getting to that backhand side and forcing some errors.
It'll be interesting to see how she handles the power, certainly, of a player 7 years her senior, but there's a reason the 14-year-old reached today's final without dropping a set, an early breakpoint chance here. Nice serve into that forehand. I'll say very early. If it's Cayetano, it seems pretty clear. Forehand to forehand, that's the exchange Cayetano wants to play.
Definitely. She really needs to, early on I saw a little bit of the nerves from Cayetano where she had a middle ball off that return and chose to hit the backhand. She's going to really need to be aggressive, moving around and finding forehands.
And you see why right there. Struck beautifully down the line by Cayetano. Game point chance. Kick off our final here for the USC Trojan. Big serve into the forehand does the trick. So 1-love, Cayetano leads here in our women's singles final. Though, as I alluded to, we've got 2 matches to enjoy here on our Crack Racket stream. Let's go over now to our men's singles final. Brad, I know these are 2 players you know extraordinarily well, and we see here our top 2 seeds reaching the singles final on the far side of your screen. Top seed Brandon Holt has been so successful here in 2022. We'll get into it all. It looks like Holt's been broken here early in this first set. Holt, your top seed, taking on number 2 seed, 19-year-old Zach Svida. Let's get into these guys as we look at our men's singles final. Again, talked about Holt, the 24-year-old. He's won 4 futures titles this year, Brad. You look for Holt overall on the season, a ridiculous amount of success, 32-8 here in the month of July. What should we expect from the 24-year-old?
Yeah, it's been incredible to watch Brandon's rise through the futures, going and winning back-to-back titles, I believe, in Mexico. Just the mentality to be able to come off a win and do it week in, week out is really impressive. I don't care what level you're playing at. That breeds confidence. Winning breeds confidence, and that's only going to help him as he makes this next transition into kind of playing more challengers and working his way up. So it's great to see him put those results together. I know he had was struggling with some injuries last year, and just to be able to come back so strongly. I've been fortunate enough to practice with both these guys in Carson, actually, and just seeing Brandon's work ethic, it definitely doesn't surprise me that he's gone on this run, and I just would love to see him continue building on this confidence.
Absolutely. So smooth is the 24-year-old. And to your point, he's been having success everywhere. Went and played the challenger level in Little Rock, in Orlando, earned a couple of victories in those matches. So we see his continuous rise. On the flip side, you get a guy in Zach Svajda who certainly came to everyone's attention as he won back-to-back Kalamazoo titles. Simply put, people don't do that. And for the 19-year-old Svajda to get over the finish line the way he did, of course, there will always be pressure on a player like that externally, but you look internally for Svajda. You know, it's been a struggle for him this year on the pro circuit. And by the way, I appreciate the correction from you. You mentioned it in our chat. You won't see this, but Svajda actually held in that last game. Serving marker was incorrect, so we're 2-1 on serve here. But talk to me about the 19-year-old. What makes him so special at this age?
Yeah, I mean, it's, as you mentioned, the Kalamazoo titles early on. He's played some incredible matches at the U.S. Open, winning the wild cards from Kalamazoo. Won his first round, I believe. Was it last year?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I have it. Okay. So he certainly has the game, but as you mentioned, he struggled to put it together a little bit at the futures, at the challenger level. It's a different mentality. When you get the wild card, you go play the U.S. Open. That's the cream of the crop. That's as good as it gets out on tour. And we have to remember that Zach's still only 19. He's still adjusting to life on the tour, and what you see away from the slams and what you see at the futures level, the challenger level, is a lot less glamorous and more of the day-to-day grind of what it takes to really work your way up the rankings and solidify yourself as a top 100 professional. So, you know, he's going through that learning curve now. It's great to see him here putting the match wins together and getting himself into a final.
Absolutely. As you alluded to, last season knocked out Marco Cecchinato in 4 sets before a tightly contested 4-set loss to Jannik Sinner in round 2 of the U.S. Open. Of course, as you see on your screen, it's Brandon Holt, your top seed, matching Svajda here, 2-all the Holt. And of course, you're going to see on your screen on the 15s and 45s of every hour, playing a little trivia here throughout the course of our SoCal broadcast. Want to get engaged with all of you viewing on the stream. That's just really good tennis. Svajda going wide there for love 15. But as you see on your screen, trivia for all of you viewing. We're going to be giving away Crack Racquets hats throughout the course of this broadcast. All you got to do, try to answer these trivia questions 15:45 of every hour. Of course, our trivia winner over the next 3 weeks going to be a 30-minute virtual tennis lesson with Paul Anacone. So it could be worse, folks. Again, get engaged in that trivia. Fire your answers in our YouTube chat here. That'll get yourself a chance to win, at the very least, a Crack Racquets hat. The grind is on here early. What do you, again, love 30 here for Holt. What are the tactical things you see here? What can give the top seed Brandon the edge?
Yeah, so this is where I think Brandon's match toughness and just that confidence is really going to come into play, especially as we get later into the set. I think it's really important for Svajda to stay with him, build a little bit of that scoreboard pressure. Get to 3-all, 4-all, 5-all. Keep putting that pressure on Holt, especially with Svajda serving first. Make Holt serve to stay in the set as we get deeper in the first set, and see if he can show a little bit of the nerves. But for Holt, he takes the ball very early. He's got great anticipation, and
goes just wide there. Pretty good speed as well.
yeah, I like that point from Holt overall. I really think that he's going to be looking to attack the Svajda forehand as much as he can. Obviously, it's still important to spread Zach and get him running over to that forehand side. And to do that, you have to expose the backhand a little bit. But Zach's backhand is his better shot. It's simpler. He times it a lot better, and you'll see him hit that down the line backhand very well throughout this match today.
Struggling a bit with the first serve here. That point starts with that backhand down the line, setting everything up, and now game point chance here for Svajda. I noticed it as well here early, and having had the chance to cover Brandon throughout an All-American collegiate career at USC. His contact point is beautiful. Just strikes the ball so cleanly.
Yeah, he does. He's got great recognition. He's able to take it early.
I think that missed a little long out of Svajda for deuce.
I really think that that's going to be important for him to just try and rush Zach to the forehand a little bit. Use his court positioning to take those balls early. He does such a good job of it on his backhand side as well.
So just like that, break point opportunity here for Brandon Holt. It's the forehand side. If you're Holt, you're attacking of Svajda?
Yeah, I think so. That's the side that's going to go a little bit off from time to time, especially in these crunch time moments.
Helps when you can raise it with the first serve like that, certainly. Again, 2-all here.
That's one thing I'm looking for Svajda early on here too, is his discipline in the points as the games go on. If there's one tendency from him, it's to get a little antsy later in the games and go for a little bit too much. But you see there, he did a very good job of staying patient, forcing that air from Holt.
Struck backhand down the line from Zach Svajda. He holds here 3-2, still on serve in our men's singles final. I have a bit of a double changeover right now. As a matter of fact, Aaron Cayetano holding 4-2-1 and allows me finally the opportunity to read this trivia question. And I see in our chat today, John Parsons joining us, of course, one of our Cracked Racquets contributors in our college tennis world. Not even he knew the answer off the top of his head to today's trivia question. We're getting tough here. This former Cal Berkeley All-American, the only player in NCAA Division I tennis history to win 3 consecutive NCAA doubles titles. 3 consecutive, Brad. I'm pretty sure you and Thatcher could have done it if he didn't want to be a doctor. Like, if you really wanted to do that for 3 years consecutively, maybe you could have. But any guesses who it may be?
No.
Yeah, okay, good.
Been racking my brain for that, and no.
All right, you'll like it. Again, I'm not going to give it away quite yet. Maybe we'll give that out in about 15 minutes, but anyone who wants to tune in, chime in. Again, 3 consecutive NCAA doubles titles from this former Cal Berkeley standout. I see we have Brian Wilson, another former college standout in our chat, joining us here today. You know the answer, Brian? Hop in, let us know. As we monitor today's matches, of course, a thank you to the sponsors, obviously USTA Pro Circuit, ITF, for providing these playing opportunities. And as we go back to our women's match, for a 14-year-old Iva Jovic, and we've talked about this, but to have this opportunity here in SoCal, right now is the Junior Slams. She could be at Wimbledon going to play that event. She could be, at the French Open playing that event. Is this the better choice for her in this moment, in your opinion, Brad?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's a lot of travel to go over for Junior Wimbledon. It's hard to look at that and not want to go. Obviously, experience of being at Wimbledon, the opportunity that these Junior Slams provide to, just give you the chance to say, like, I walked on the grounds. I remember how special that was when I got to play them. But at the same time, when you're 14 years old, you're looking at a long runway as well, and you're trying to find what's the best developmental path to be the best you can be, and to have these tournaments in her backyard, to play at her home club. That's a home court advantage that she has, and you understand why. You can get great matches here. You're staying at home. And that travel is tough. Let's not discount how difficult it is to fly around the world, change time zones, and then try and play your best tennis. And that's difficult for us as professionals who have learned how to manage the jet lag. To ask these juniors, that's another step up. So I like the strategy. It's clearly worked out very well for her here in making the final, but it's really just how much matches can you get?
You asked me, would I rather play a match at Wimbledon or a pro match at my home club? The answer is Wimbledon, but I'd have to think about it. I'd be like, let me think. Like, if the opportunity to play a pro match, every Gruskin family member in the history of Gruskinness would be there. Like, it would just, everyone would show up. It's such a special opportunity, to your point. And even beyond that, super producer Daniel Westoff even chiming in how impressed he's been by this 14-year-old who has yet to drop a set this week as well. Yeah, that looked a hair long, and indeed it was.
It's been remarkable poise from her to just race through this draw and give herself an opportunity to play for a championship. But yeah, like you were saying, if I were 14, I probably would have been screaming to go and play Wimbledon. But that's also where it's important to have a good team around you that has the kind of the longer view in mind for your development, and that's why you put your trust in them. And it's really easy to be blinded as the player. I want to go play this, I want to play that. It's chasing points, ranking. And that's where you do need someone that can kind of pull back on the reins a little bit and, remind you that those opportunities will still be there, and maybe you'll be better prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Jovic, coached, as I mentioned earlier, by Jack Kramer Club GM, head of tennis and former USC five-time national team champion in Peter Smith. Again, we see camera a bit glitchy here. Apologize for that if it continues in this match. We'll go back to our men's match. But to your point, it's the steadiness of Jovic. I mean, that's just ridiculous from Cayetano finding that angle, but I don't think Jovic has given her anything free through 4 games.
Yeah, that's been really great to see her start, and you really haven't seen like a sign of nerves from her. Playing consistent, playing smart, forcing Cayetano to come up with the goods, which she's been able to on her serve, but making her repeatedly come up with that.
As we see, actually, let's go split screen here for a moment, super producer Daniel Westoff, bring both of our finals matches into play. Of course, Brandon Holt trying to consolidate, trying to keep pace. A couple of break point chances. Now finds himself down a break here. To Zachary Svida. It'll happen in bunches. So quick. Again, the pace of these matches.
Yeah, so often you see that one player has a couple break point opportunities and isn't quite able to capitalize, and just slight lapse of focus or raising the level from the opponent, getting that boost of energy after saving a couple break points. And you see that often, getting that break right after.
We see again Brandon Holt making a bit of a push here. Get that break back as we head towards deuce. I am curious as we see Cayetano hold 4-3-2. Let's go full screen on that men's singles final. But as a fan of tennis, and this is something we try to do here at Cracked Racquets, again, a bit of a different broadcast than perhaps you might be accustomed to, the idea of the split screen when there's 7 matches going on at once. Would you like to see that more for professional events?
You know, I can argue both ways. It's you don't get the same feel of the match. Certainly you get more, you see more matches. It's, there's how many times are you watching a match or watching a broadcast, you're like, oh, like this match is 2-2 in the first and we've got a match 5-5 in the final set. Like, come on. So having that flexibility is certainly nice, but it is harder to get a feel for when you do have the split screen. It's harder to get a feel for the match.
I feel like there should be a mandatory red zone channel day one of majors. It's like we have 64 matches going on. I need the channel that's just constantly flipping. And
so is that going to be Cracked Racquets?
Well, I've tried to pony up for the Wimbledon rights, and ABC slightly outbid us, just slightly. I put up all the piggy bank money, but yeah, they had a couple extra piggy banks, and so
I do like the idea of the red zone.
Yeah, that's something
for tennis. How would you do it?
Would you need a spotter, right? It's got to be the guy who says, "Hey, like 4-3-ons, like I will tell you when it's that, and we'll jump between." We try to do it for the college tennis matches, right?
Yeah.
Because in that format, it makes sense because it's you go to 6, you go to 2, you go to 4. Pro tennis, especially 3 out of 5 sets, you're like, again, how do you judge something's importance? Is any first set important in a best of 5 men's match? Like, yes and no.
Only if you're playing Djokovic or Nadal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually a whole. I mean, that's a whole nother topic to get into. But the first set, obviously, there's a lot more there's a roller coaster of emotions in best of 5 set matches that. It's really a marathon, not a sprint.
I know, absolutely. And again, maybe we'll ask these guys if they want to play 3 out of 5 as we see the changeover coming here. And apologize, obviously, scoreboard a bit broken down. I believe that was a Svida hold, 4-5-2 that we just watched. But again, going to keep our eyes on both of these finals. Let's go back to our women's singles final now. Cayetano, Jovic on serve. Jovic. First serve percentage a bit down for her here early, making only 50% of her first serves to start the match. Not that it's mattered that much so far. Dropped just 3 points on serve through 2 games.
Cayetano really looking for that short angle there. It's so difficult. You could see where she was in the court, actually right in the middle. And to play that angle inside the service line is almost defying the laws of physics. And you could see just having to cut the margin so finely there, just clipping the tape.
It's a healthy forehand. from Erin Cayetano there. Yeah, it feels like, I mean, to say the match is on her racket might be a bit hyperbolic here this early, but I do think that's the biggest weapon on the court for either player.
Yeah, definitely. And we have to see how Jovic holds up as the match wears on, just physically being able to handle the pace. Obviously, she's shown throughout the tournament she's rolled through the draw. But as you get later and later into the draw, you start to see more and more of that wear and tear on the body, mixed with the nerves. You know, that has a huge effect just physically on how freely you're moving. So just something to look out for. I don't, her track record this tournament has been that it shouldn't affect her, but we'll see how she handles just kind of the consistent weight of Cayetano's forehand.
Cayetano dropping 2 sets on her way to this final. Off one of the winners of the San Diego SoCal Pro Circuit, Dai Young, in yesterday's semifinal, 3 sets. Jovic keeps pace here, holds 4-3 all. So let's go back to our men's singles final. We'll allow A, super producer Daniel Westhoff, quickly reset that camera so it's not going too slow on you all. But B, 5-2 here for Zach Svajda. That scoreboard a bit behind. Svajda worth it. You mentioned the struggles on the, we mentioned the success, of Holt or Svajda here in 2022. 3-10 coming into the week.
Yeah, given that, his start to the year, this first set is much more important for Svajda to get ahead, build some of that confidence. Brandon's won so many matches this year that you develop that confidence and that ability to come back in matches. You're able to keep a little bit more relaxed, head on your shoulders, when the score isn't going your way. But if you're Svajda, this is exactly what you're looking for.
That's nice. Dropper. And Brandon Holt disguises that so well.
Reminded me a little bit of, been watching some of Alcarez.
That was a little Alcarez-y. We thought he was setting on that one. Watching the film. Again, do apologize. Scoreboard a bit off here. Measured forehand from Brandon Holt, inside out there. Yes, let's go manual here on our scoreboard. Svajda to now serve for the set here, 5-3. Super producer Daniel Westhoff going to get that set up for all of us on your screen. And Svajda on the near side, 19-year-old to a number 2 seed, serving for the set.
That's a great first point from Holt there. Svajda is serving for the set, but having not won very many matches this year, this is really when a little bit of that lack of confidence can start to creep in. Trying to close out the set, you start wanting it a little bit more. You can smell the finish line. If you're Holt, it's really important for you to recognize a little bit of that nerves creeping in, bring in your targets, and play really physically.
Drop shot lob combo goes a bit long off of Svajda. To your point, I feel like this match has been on Svida's terms. I know we haven't been tuned in the whole time, but we haven't seen a lot of Brandon Holt forehands, and that's typically not the case.
Yeah, I think both players starting out kind of, it's hard to say feeling each other out, just given their knowledge of each other, both training in Carson, not far from here. But Holt had the chances early to break. This is, he lives 5 minutes from the club, so I'm sure he's got a lot of that hometown support that can bring with it, some positives, but also a little bit, can start to feel a little bit of the nerves there, a little bit more of the pressure.
No doubt about that. As we see Love 40 here, I would always be nervous if Tracy Austin was in the crowd. And of course, Tracy Austin, Grand Slam champion, lovely mother of Brandon Holt. We had the chance to chat with Tracy, Racquets, about the SoCal Pro Circuit a few weeks ago. That drop good. No, just wide off the racket of Svida. So 5-4 now. Holt breaks to stay alive in the set. Let's go back to our women's singles final. As we watch a couple of USC Trojans, and we got a question in our chat. I want to encourage everyone. This is part of the fun here at Cracked Racquets. We have that opportunity to interact with all of you in ways that just you aren't able to in a traditional broadcast. John Parsons wanted your thoughts, Bradley Kahn. He wanted to ask, as a former Stanford Cardinal, singular, of course, because I call them the Cardinals, he wanted to know, USC, UCLA, going to the Big Ten, rumors that Stanford may be next. What's your reaction to it all?
I don't love it. It's a money grab, which obviously that's what we've seen from all these conferences. We know football, basketball runs the show, the way these billion-dollar media contracts are being thrown around, and these conferences are really losing the alignment that we've grown accustomed to. And certainly if you, from the Big Ten standpoint, you bring in the LA market. I know the Big Ten media rights are up for renewal here shortly, and that obviously is going to add a lot more money to them. So you can see why SC and UCLA want it, more finances for them, the Big Ten. But if you look at it from the athlete's perspective, and we'll use football for an example, and then we can touch on tennis, but these guys are traveling 2-3 time zones 4 to 5 times a year now, just for one game. And it just the toll that it takes on these athletes' bodies while they're in school, it's clearly, there's no thought for the athlete, I would say, and what's best for the student athlete, with an emphasis on student as much as athlete. Hence the student coming first, which I think is something that's easily lost in kind of the signing of these contracts and all the money that's flying around. But yeah, I mean, from the tennis perspective, and being a Stanford alum, you hate to see those two teams bolt for a different conference. I always felt like SC was our biggest rival during my 4 years. And that's not to say that, obviously we have the rivalry with Cal and UCLA. I just felt like all four, Cal, Stanford, USC, and UCLA, just that was, we'd play them twice a year in the regular season. Then you added the conference championship. And then, if you play them in indoors or NCAAs, which we often did, that's a huge loss for everyone, truthfully, because I think that's a big loss for SC and UCLA having those geographical rivalries. So yeah, I don't love it. I think it's common. Even I grew up as a Big Ten fan, actually. My mom played tennis at the University of Iowa. I was an Iowa fan from out of the womb. So seeing USC, UCLA, even, adding Rutgers and Maryland, seeing them in the Big Ten, that's still an adjustment for me to look at. So
I
it's a
think
long way of saying I don't like the move at all.
Yeah, no, well, I'll say this. In the negotiations, the Pac-12 gets to keep the Ojai event. They're like, we keep Ojai, all right? Big Ten doesn't get that. And so that was the sweetener as we see Holt fighting off a couple of set points so far, 30-40 now on his serve. Started to go after that forehand a bit more now.
From both of them. You could even see Holt in the near court, just the feet slowing down a little bit, waiting for the ball, just really trying to manage the backhand, and really both of them just moving the ball around, not at the kind of the similar pace that we have been seeing. And it's a little bit of a game of chicken who is going to miss first.
There are those two words again, +1. The +1 from Brandon Holt. Back to game point here. I believe that scoreboard should say 4-5, by the way. Brandon Holt trailing here 4-5. So not a set point for Holt, but a game point here to extend the set. Like that return a lot.
Yeah, again, you can see, Zvida does a great job of neutralizing there, just getting that return deep, and you can see Brandon just a little bit, casual is not necessarily the right term, but just a little bit frozen there on his footwork getting back.
Coming up for Svida. We got to call him the Svida man, right? Like, he is the Svida man. I'll loan that to Brad Gilbert when the time is right. Yeah. The swinging volley, or is that just an improv there?
I heard that was a I think it's coming back now. So
okay.
I hadn't really practiced it, and then we started, the guy that I first noticed was really doing it well was Karatsev.
Yes.
And in Carson we've had discussions about, we've seen Karatsev practicing it and how well he's been hitting it, and all of a sudden, a few more swinging volley feeds coming our way.
That's what I love. I got to get in those strategy sessions. That's what I want to hear. It's like the swinging volley, back, out, the forehand chip.
I mean, if Wawrinka's been chipping returns well for, quite a while.
Yeah, a generation. It's fair. That sprayed wide, so we're back to deuce. Feels like it's a little tougher for Brandon to generate the pace on that backhand wing.
Yeah, you're seeing him start to force it a little bit. I'd almost say he's just managing the backhand side over there, trying to take time away with his feet, but he definitely, a good first serve to set up the forehand, is really key for him, and we've seen that first serve percentage kind of dip here in this game.
Backhand into the net means another set point here for Zach Svajda. By the way, answer to trivia question number 1. The only player in NCAA history to win 3 consecutive NCAA doubles championships, at least in the modern era. University of Cal's Amy Jensen. Amy Jensen did it 98, 99, 2000 twice with now Cal women's tennis head coach Amanda Augustus. Not too shabby, right, Brad?
That's an incredible effort. That is very difficult to do.
You guys made finals in 11?
We made the finals in 11 at Stanford. Yes, yeah. That was on our home courts.
So you were the Jovic in that scenario.
Yeah. That was a fun. That was worth coming back after my sophomore year just for that.
Nothing else, especially. All right, I'm not going to do it because I want to focus here, obviously, as Brandon Holt continues to scrap. But yeah, that 2011 quarterfinal, 4-3, you guys versus Virginia, one of my 3 favorite. Probably the most viewed YouTube video in my arsenal is watching that one. You crushing Shabazz. Thatcher only lost for Damashon that season.
Yeah. More so than the doubles final, those 2 matches against A&M and UVA were worth coming back.
For sure, as we see Brandon Holt still on the comeback trail. He gets the hold. 4-5 all, hard fought. And you wonder, now Holt, again, has been climbing up this mountain on the comeback trail. Don't let your foot off the gas here, right? That's the nerves, as you're trailing for half a set, and now all of a sudden it's 5 all. You blink for a second, you lose the set.
It's really easy to relax once you've gotten back to even. Just you've made this incredible mental effort, breaking to get back on serve, staving off a couple set points on your own serve, and then now all of a sudden you're level, but the set's not over yet. And on the flip side, if you're Svajda, that's really important to remember as well, that for as well as you played in the last 10 or 15 minutes of things have not gone your way, you also have to remember that you're still 5 all in the first set, and it's really hard to rein yourself back in, rein in those emotions and not get too far ahead of yourself, but it's so important to get that hold here and just keep your nose in front. Send that pressure, send that pressure right back onto the Holt serve.
Absolutely. By the way, currently 4 all in our women's final. No breaks of serve yet. Add point for Cayetano. Scoreboard's back up now at the Kramer Club, so we'll no longer be flying blind here the rest of the way. That's why we've been focused here on this men's match. Just didn't want to have incorrect scoreboards for you. That's the worst sort of tennis, of course, to be watching when you've got no idea what's going on. So we're back up here. 15 here for Svajda. Shout out to super producer Daniel Westoff for the manual scoreboard work in the meantime. Best in the business, of course. Now 40-15 here, force fighter. Let's go split screen, get back to our women's action. 4-all. Back to deuce now. Jovic has dropped just 1 point behind her first serve, Brad. Just 1 point behind her first serve all match. Actually, Cayetano, who's faced 4 break points and had to save them all. Jovic has faced just 1. As we bring everyone back up to speed here, a little split screen action. Spida holding 4-6-5. We'll go full screen here on our women's singles final. By the way, new trivia question. Here's a layup, and all you got to do, throw your answer to this trivia question in our Crack Racquets YouTube chat. Get yourself a chance not only to win a free hat, but an opportunity for a free 30-minute virtual lesson from Paul Annacone. The question: this California-born player became the first American man since Andre Agassi in 2001 to win an Indian Wells men's singles title. Do we give them the freebie answer here, Brad? Do you want to just tell them all what it is? I feel like this is a layup.
This is much easier for me. But no, I don't think we can give it away just yet.
All right, I like it. If you don't know it by now, there's no way you're watching a future stream on a Sunday. Let's be clear. Yeah, this one's a layup. So I expect everyone tuning in, what do you have to lose? Get yourself a chance to win a hat. You know the answer to this trivia question as we go back to deuce here. How difficult is it to play a player like Cayetano, where it's just, you know, she's going to go big on the first or second shot and you're not getting that much rhythm?
Yeah, it's hard because, especially for a player like Jovic who makes a lot of balls and, you know, it's important. She seems like she needs to find that rhythm in the points and is a very good mover. It's difficult when it's kind of one and done. And you don't really get, especially if you're someone who really likes to feel the ball and that's how you gain a lot of confidence. Well, you're not feeling the ball much at all. And actually, secondly, and probably most importantly, is if it doesn't feel like the match is on your terms at all, you lose that sense of control. And when you start to lose that sense of control over your game in the match, you start to become more reactionary. And for some players, you know, that's kind of the way they like to play. For others, if they're used to, you know, at least 50-50 or wanting to be in control a little bit, that mental adjustment can be a little bit unsettling.
Swinging volley is back. That one a little bit long, though, from Cayetano. And now a 5th break point chance here coming up for Jovic.
You know, this will be a very extreme example, but for when you play Kyrgios, you want to talk about not being in control and just like the mental struggle of that.
Yeah.
That's obviously, you know, the far end of the spectrum, but
no doubt about it. By the way, my apologies, back to deuce here. That one goes wide, so now it is a 5th break point chance here for Jovic. And yeah, I'll speak anecdotally as a not as good as Bradley Klahn player. The guys with the big weapons who you know are going to slap, you're like, I don't want to hit with you. Like, you're like, I want to get my sweat in. Like, I'm here to get the workout in. I'm not here to watch you slap.
It can be very frustrating. Just not. It's, you know, it's just very uncomfortable.
Yes, that's a great word. Big forehand from Cayetano, and I'm ready to say it. I don't know how great Eva Jovic is. I can already tell she's really good, and if that makes sense. Like, I don't know what the weapons are, but I don't see a weakness either.
Look, she's 14.
Yeah, it's crazy.
She still has a lot of time to develop, get stronger, and develop those weapons. You know, it's the court sense,
Big forehand from Cayetano. A game point chance for her here. That forehand has bailed her out time after time here. Meanwhile, let's go split screen if we can. Don't want to go away from this, but 5-6, 30 all on the men's side. Now 30-40, another set point chance here for Svajda. Backhand down the line, winner, first set to the Svajda man. Number 2 seed. Playing in just his second pro circuit final. Now he won the 25K in Austin, Texas last season. He's set up now on top seed Brandon Holt here in Los Angeles. Good set of tennis from Svajda. Good recovery there as well.
Yeah, really good job from him to put those 3 games behind him, building that early lead and having the chances on Holt's serve.
Cayetano gives her another game point chance.
You can really see Cayetano's just relentlessness to get inside the baseline, and forehands, backhands, you name it. She's looking to be aggressive and move forward.
And you file that under things you love to see, right? Just as a coach or as an observer, someone who's going down on their terms.
Absolutely. You want it to be on your terms. You want to go after the ball. Take it to your opponent. You know, we always talk about being proactive with the feet, looking, you know, really wanting the ball, like wanting to own the ball and not have the ball own you.
Right. You know, a righty, a righty Bradley Klahn is not a horrible comparison for Erin Cayetano. It's not horrible. It's not.
She goes after the backhand maybe a little bit more than I do. I like to manipulate the ball around with the slice a little bit.
Yeah. She's like a Klahn 1.25.
I love the way she's going after the serve and forehand, though. I think that's crucial for her as she, makes the transition to the pro game, and she just that eagerness and that excitement to go find the forehand, I think really serves her well.
Sixth break point chance coming up for Jovic. This feels like an inflection point game. If Cayetano escapes, it's just a tough position Jovic to be in afterwards.
Yeah, you can. These are one of those few pivotal moments in a match that can really swing it either way.
She gets the break. She'll serve for the first set. 14-year-old, folks, has yet to drop a set here in Los Angeles. With that in mind, obviously so exciting to have this SoCal Pro Circuit. What we want to do here on this changeover, talk to you a little bit about the mechanics to making this event happen. And we were so fortunate to have the chance to speak with Bruce Klieg, one of the biggest supporters of this SoCal Pro Circuit. He talked about the importance of investing in grassroots events like this. Super producer Daniel Westhoff, let's play that clip now. The financial commitment it takes, and again, being willing to invest in this grassroots level of tennis. Why was that so important to you?
Well, again, I didn't want somebody to be 40 years old that went through all the junior programs and practice 3-5 hours a day for their whole life to have to default into teaching and not pursue their dream. This is a way for somebody to pursue their dream, at least have a shot. And I think we've accomplished a lot of that the way it is right now. We'd like to refine it, maybe go into satellite type of event also. But when I look at it today, and I've talked to a lot of the players, they get one ticket. That's the San Diego. They can stay here for 4 weeks, and they've got 60 other people to practice with at a very high level, which improves their game tremendously. And they have a shot of playing these tournaments right here, all in one place. A lot of the people have housing with families in this area right here, and we'd like to expand that even more. And that's important because the housing costs you a lot of money, especially in the summertime in San Diego. So the cost is the big thing right here. And I think by having them in the same geographic area, it worked out. Now, I think it was important for us to go up to 6 tournaments instead of just having 3 in San Diego. Because we can include Los Angeles. Now, Los Angeles is only, an hour and a half away from San Diego. It's very easy for people to get from San Diego to there. So now when you think about it, they have one ticket to San Diego, one ticket back out. And for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, they're in an area with 60 other people to play with and get excellent practice and have an opportunity to pursue their dream. That's what we're doing.
Talking one person is tough.
And we're back now here again. Aaron Cayetano, the quick response, love 30. Alex Gruskin. Always nice to be joined by a top 100 player. That's what we have here today in Bradley Klahn. Breakpoint chance. Iva Jovic in this match, Bradley. 14 of 17, 82% first serve win percentage, 4 of 14 on the second serve. And you see why there. And again, that's maybe where being 14 years old shows a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one thing that you learn as you get older is developing the second serve and just knowing that it has to be better.
Sure. Or, I mean, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's a first serve well placed, but Cayetano lacing that ball. And, yeah, to your point, Jovic, first serve has looked good, but 18 of 32 on first serve. She's making just 56% of that shot. That's just not going to get the job done, unfortunately, in a pro circuit final.
Yeah, it's, it just goes to show the importance of that first serve, and especially when your second serve isn't your strong suit. You have to learn how to manage that. And look, again, there's so much to be excited about with Jovic and just her court sense. And let's not forget her age, that as she gets stronger, that second serve will develop. She's used to playing the juniors. And that's something that everyone goes through when they turn pro and they start playing up. And that was the first lesson I learned on tour, actually. And my first professional event after finishing school was, my second serve it's not going to cut it out here. And you take that information back to your coach and you keep working on it and you just keep developing that trust to go after it more and more. And it's like anything with work, it gets better over time.
Absolutely. And I think the nicest thing you can say about any player is, hey, they need to work on their serve a bit more. It's like, that's the controllable. And especially at 14 years old, you're like, yeah, the second serve needs to get better. You're like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, like, I'll take that. That's the scouting report.
Yeah.
Lock that in.
If that didn't need work, I think we'd be talking about and just a whole nother box of surprises. And, it's completely natural.
key here again for both of these players. So impressed by the veteran guile on the flip side of Cayetano. You get broken, long deuce game. You break at love with a backhand return winner laced cross court. That's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, just a really good mental reset from her after that difficult game that you mentioned, and just to be able to put it behind her so quickly, she's still in the set, and get her first break of serve as well. What a point from Jovic. I mean, now, turn it back to her ability to put that break at love aside, serving for the set, her first pro tournament, her first final, and to play this game back to back and just really lock down in that point. Giving herself another opportunity right away.
Absolutely. Break point chance. Lead number 7. Coming up here for Jovic. Excuse me, break point chance. Number, 8 here. Off for Aaron Cayetano, who right away gonna go hit. You don't see that very often.
Quick correction.
Yeah, the extra practice serve. Unfortunately, after no breaks through the first 8 games of the match, 3 consecutive breaks here in our women's singles finals. 6-5, Jovic will serve for the set. We're gonna stick here. Early action on serve, set number 2 in our men's singles final. But as we've alluded to, trivia questions for all of you tuning into the stream today. It is July 4th. Let's celebrate, have some fun. That's what we're trying to do here on our Crack Rackets broadcast. Our next trivia question, sticking with the California theme, we're going to stick with Indian Wells. And some people call Jack Kramer Club the private tennis club equivalent of Indian Wells. It's been thrown out there over the years. Beautiful facilities, of course, here in Los Angeles. But the question, and I think it's fairly intuitive, again, if you're watching a futures final on a Sunday, you may know this. The 2 men that have won the highest numbers of Indian Wells men's singles titles. When I wrote the trivia question, I said name both. Super producer Daniel Westhoff is too kind, so he's asking for one. Again, we just need one name for you. You submit an answer, put yourself in a position not only to potentially get yourself a Crack Rackets hat, that opportunity to get a 30-minute free virtual lesson from Paul Anacone. You can send him your stuff. He'll offer you some feedback, both constructive and complimentary. If you want, I suppose we can get 30 minutes of just, again, him ripping your game as well. I think that's pretty funny. That's what I would want.
Just a real confidence killer.
Yeah, I sent Carousel my clip once, and I was like, break it down, have fun for me. And he goes like, he actually was like, you know what? The backhand's pretty good. He was like, the forehand could use somebody. He goes in, he was like breaking it. He's like, yeah, momentum's bad here. The weight shift rough. It was very funny. Yeah, it was well done. It was a little birthday gift for me. Jovic here, love 15. Again, those second serve struggles. Rising of late.
Especially when you're looking to close out a set too. That's when you start to see those first serve percentages dip. Those nerves cost a little bit of your form. You try and rush it a little bit. It's really easy for that, in her case, that left arm to kind of be yanked down pretty quickly, almost trying to hurry the ball into the box, which is, just the exact opposite of what you're looking for.
15 all here for 14-year-old Jovic. That's a knuckleball, hanging curveball even over the plate there for Aaron Cayetano.
You know, that's a really good second serve from Jovic, though. Yes, not a lot of pace on there, but very high and looping to the backhand, which is the side we've seen Cayetano struggle with from time to time throughout this set. And you saw how high that ball got above her shoulders. Again, forced to hit a second serve, though. Let's see if Cayetano makes an adjustment and tries to get around this pretty quickly for a forehand.
Jovic calling her own lines. The lines person agrees. You see the full crew there. Cayetano, I actually liked that adjustment. She was prepared for that ball, just what, a little much?
Yeah, you know, I think especially in this situation in the match, you really want to bring that target in. She didn't need to. She was in control. She was well inside the baseline. Didn't need to force that to the line too much. Just give herself a big target. Force Jovic to kind of funnel that ball back into her forehand and then go to work from there.
But the forehand sprays wide. 9 sets. 14-year-old Iva Jovic has played in her pro circuit debut. 9 sets played, 9 sets won. Iva Jovic, 7-5 first set over this season's college tennis #1 player in the country for much of the year in Aaron Cayetano. The double changeover right now. So let's look ahead to our action next week. Of course, we'll be back week number 5 of 6 of this SoCal Pro Circuit series of events. Gonna head over to Los Cab, as the kids call it, I've been told, in Fountain Valley for next week's SoCal Pro Circuit. Am I right, Brad? The kids call it Los Cab.
All right. That looks like a junior schedule that I about half my lifetime ago. That's exciting to see.
Los Cab to Lakewood, you've done that transition
I
week
have
to
done
week.
that transition many a weekend. Pack the car up with my mom or dad early on a Saturday morning and make the trip up there.
And we alluded to this earlier in regards to Jovic in particular, but for a player like Cayetano, who has a couple years of college eligibility left, or, you look at the players on the men's side, obviously Holt, Svida, both full-time pros, but saw countless other players competing with those college or junior ties this week. As we go back here, watch a little of the men's action. How significant are these opportunities? I know we heard from Bruce Klieg, but what does Bradley Klom think? Different BK about, again, the rise of this SoCal Pro Circuit events.
Yeah, it's so important to provide these young pros and players transitioning into the pros with as many opportunities as possible to get match play, to get experience at this level. The one thing that there's no shortcut to is experience at the level, playing competitive matches. That's just something that it's a non-negotiable, really. Especially, obviously, you have your phenoms, what an incredible point from Svida there in a really crucial time, trying to consolidate that break. But back to what we were talking about, just the experience. Yes, you see some of the phenoms that break onto the scene, and the Alcarezes that just are destined for the top 10 at a young age. But for 99.9% of the players on tour, you have to earn it the hard way. And you really need these opportunities to test yourself, to continue to build up that confidence.
This is, again, I would agree. I think you look for Svida, who, again, just 3 wins coming into this week, and he's a guy who is top 400 in the world and has a U.S. Open win on his resume. The word stubborn comes to mind. If you're Svida, you could be stubborn and say, I'm not playing futures anymore.
Yeah. In his case, I mean, look.
Did that land good? No, okay, just lost.
Yeah. You have to look at your ranking too, and this sport is very transparent with your level, right? Your ranking is your ranking. There's no manipulating it. and you have to play where your ranking's at. You might think that, I should be higher or whatever. Your game's better. You can play with these guys, but until you go out and do it, it's just hearsay.
Yeah, exactly. And Svida, just wide on that forehand pass. And here's the thing for Holt. It feels like he has been chasing for the delay. We're an hour 20 into this match. He has been chasing from the start. That's just such a tough position to be in.
Yeah, you expend so much more mental energy just constantly being on edge, constantly battling yourself, trying to get back.
Here. It's the break back 4-2-3. Again, both of these players, I know to your point, Brandon Holt, I think lives about 4 minutes from the Jack Kramer Club, something like that. But Svida's an LA kid too, is he not? He's from, SoCal guy?
Yeah, he grew up in San Diego, trains in LA now, out of the facility in Carson. So he's certainly, an LA local as well. He's practiced there before. Guys will go there from time to time and hit. So he's certainly no stranger to these courts.
Cayetano holding 4-1 love. That is the fun here. 4 Southern California players all competing here in our Pro Circuit final. And Alex Gruskin so excited to be joined by Bradley Klahn here on Championship Sunday. Sure many of you were tuning into the Wimbledon action. Perhaps you are simultaneously to our action here. Of course, worth noting, yes, it's Championship Sunday from a singles perspective, but we did already crown some doubles winners. I want to talk about those doubles winners now. Of course, one of them happened to be Erin Cayetano, partnered with Selma Ewing, her USC teammate. Duo knocking off Bunyawi Timchaiwat, Yai Yang, who I believe were our champions in week 3 of the SoCal Pro Circuit in doubles. Cayetano, Ewing, 6-3, 4-6, 10-8. Success breeds success, as we've learned certainly in last week's SoCal Pro Circuit champ Ethan Quinn, a winner in doubles this week, partnering with Daniel Vallejo. They knock out Aiden Mayo, Keenan Mayo. The Mayo brothers. Well, doubles action this week. Love to see that. 5-4 win for Quinn and Vallejo. Success breeds success, as you mentioned, right? That doubles piece, it's an important ingredient, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very difficult to win singles and doubles in the same event. But that said, winning in doubles can bring a lot of confidence to singles and vice versa. You've seen it so often. At the pro level, I always look at, Pierre Hughes Herbert on the men's side or Jack Sock winning in doubles and seeing that success translate to singles. There's so much to be taken from the doubles court. More live reps, serving, returning, playing aggressive first ball, all things that are important on the singles court. And it's just stuff that you can't simulate in practice.
Volley, good aggression from Cayetano, who has come out swinging. And again, if you watch a lot of Erin Cayetano, I know it's only her second Pro Circuit event. Cayetano, though, 39-11 overall on the year. During the college tennis season, played plenty of 3-set matches. chances here. And Cayetano. I just do continue to like that she's swinging. There is no hesitation after dropping that first set. The game plan is clear.
Yeah, she's going for it. She knows the racket. You know, the match can be on her racket, and that's the way she plays, and that's how she wants this match to be played. And there's still a lot of time, you know. She maybe a little bit of nerves there in the first set, who knows? But just being able to quickly put that behind her, and really important to get this early lead.
You pointed it out earlier. What's the difference between that shot and the 6-5 return? She runs around that ball, gets to the forehand side, able to extend through that ball so cleanly. Now it's Cayetano. 2-love lead here in set number 2.
Yeah, she just seems so much more comfortable on that forehand side attacking. The backhand still very solid, but just especially on that second serve, you can see Jovic's second serve, not a lot of pace, but it is getting up pretty high. And for Cayetano to take that early, she has to almost take it either earlier or let it come down into her strike zone a bit more on the backhand.
Cayetano. There's a freebie, a rare freebie from Iva Jovic. A missed return there on the flip side. Can we go split screen with the men? 7-5-4-2. Right now, Zach Svida in command. Brandon Holt continuing to claw his way back. Tracking down that drop shot. He's got inside 3 break point chances. So we see Cayetano swinging. I think we know what that one's going to look like. Let's go back to our men's match here, full screen. On the break point chance here for Holt. Double fault from Svida. 4-3 back on serve in set number 2. Again, we'll pop back there as soon as that changeover's up. It's an interesting choice by Jovic.
Yeah, you're starting to see the first signs of frustration here. Just, you know, things I'm looking for in body language. Just Cayetano's done a great job of putting that first set behind, showing the positivity. Jovic, the first real sign of kind of difficulty for her, and just a few signs of frustration. Very, very subtle, but just things you're looking for as an opponent. If you're looking across the net and start to notice that, you know, like, this is where if you're Cayetano, you really need to buckle down.
One chance here to consolidate. Take that 3-love lead.
There it is, right there.
Jovic says not yet, though. Backhand pass there. By the way, gotta give a shout out to a couple of our viewers tuning in. Ty Nguyen on his game here. I'm gonna assume he didn't hear me give away the Cal question, but he threw out the Amy Jensen answer. Also knows the answer to our current trivia question. One of the 2 men to have won the highest number of Indian Wells singles titles. Yes, Roger Federer is one of those 2. Can you figure out the other? Bernardo Aviles does immediately. Novak Djokovic, indeed the other player with 5 Indian Wells men's singles titles. She may not have an Indian Wells title. Erin Cayetano, 39-11 last year at the collegiate ranks, into her first pro circuit singles final. Already a pro doubles champion, now 3-love up in set number 2. I'm gonna have trivia questions for all of you tuning in every 15 and 45 on the hour. Traffic and weather together on the 8s as well here at News Radio 950. Yeah, we'll throw it all in. But of course, if you're interested, winning yourself a free Cracked Racquets hat, 30-minute virtual lesson from Paul Annacone. All you got to do, answer our trivia questions. BK, you can also answer them if you want that 30 minutes from Annacone. You're not out of the running either. Nice little half volley there from Brandon Holt. What's he got to do to flip this around?
Yeah, I think he's doing a great job of hanging around, right? Zvaida's had multiple opportunities to really put his foot down and put this match away, and he's just, again, I hate to harp on it, but this is kind of where you see some of that lack of match wins, that lack of confidence coming into play, getting that break and really stepping on the gas and holding serve. So I think at risk of stating the obvious, Holt needs to hold serve here. He's done a great job of getting breaks back, but he needs to start finding more forehands, playing aggressively, not settling for that backhand, and really looking to kind of take advantage of some of this indecisiveness from Zvaida in the later stages of this set.
You talk about, for Brandon Holt, the necessity of holding serve. Holt faced 11 break points so far in today's match, 9 service games, this being his 10th. He's made 72% of his first serves, but winning just 52% of his first serve points, 56% of his second serve points. Zach Zvajda has been in every one of Brandon Holt's service games.
Yeah, it's, you bring up the serve percentage, it can be a bit of a misleading stat, right? Because it's a high first serve percentage is what you generally want. But if you're not able to back that up with the win percentage, maybe you need to go for a little bit more, lower the first serve percentage, touch, high 60s. But if you can get that percentage up into the 70s, I generally like to see, especially for someone, it's, on the men's side, if you can get that first serve win percentage into the low 70s, that's really going to help him.
I would say the first serve percentage, not the win percentage, but just the first serve percentage matters for 3 people: Isner, Opelka, Berrettini. If they're over 65, you lose. Sorry, but it's that's the only 3 it matters.
Yeah, it's on the margins, yes. Obviously, if we're bringing it in at 50, 52, but it's really about how much are you winning off the first serve and also your second serve win percentage. If you're winning a lot on your second serve, it's okay to take some more risk on that first serve. If you're coming in at 30% winning percentage on the second serve, probably need to spin a few more in.
Yeah. Agreed. As we see, again, good spin there from Brandon Holt. Does feel, to your point, the way I describe it, he's just on neutral. It just feels like he's on neutral in this match, and I keep waiting for that gear to shift. How many backhands has he just kind of massaged up the line as opposed to really going for it?
Yeah, I don't mind that as a change of pace. I'd just like to see a bit more variety off that side, either trying to sneak in off it or mixing in the slice. Zvajda is a guy who loves pace and likes rhythm, right? When you get into this moving, kind of hitting and moving match with him, keeping the same pace, that's playing right into his comfort zone. I don't mind that play from Holt, trying something different, trying to bring him in. Yes, the execution not quite there, leaving that slice a little bit high. It's hard to tell if that was a drop shot or more of a, kind of play that Federer short knife that almost brings the guy in on his own terms. I do like that play if I'm Holt, just trying to get Zvajda in and out of the court a little bit more, not letting him get settled moving laterally.
there. I like the rip on the forehand and the change of pace. Just try and do a little dictating. Fortunately, again, right now, if you're asking whose terms are we playing on, certainly Zach Svida's will be loved for the 19-year-old. A little better.
Yeah, you know, that backhand down the line had a little bit more oomph on it. And whether he looks to take that and come in or just gains control of the point, once he's able to step inside the baseline on that forehand, he's in a much better, more threatening position.
Good serve from Svida into the backhand for 40-15. And I was talking once, I don't think that Bjorn Fratangelo is not a name drop, but I was talking to Bjorn once, and he was talking about guys who can hit the cross-court forehand well, particularly on the run. If you can hit that ball with depth, with pace, that's the moneymaker on the ATP Tour with how big the weapons are. It does feel like Svida has that fluidity. What do you see there, again, how comfortable he is hitting on the slide?
Yeah, you know, I think he moves well. He's a very good mover, and he's a very good ball striker. I think Holt there, a little, you see, you know, Svida kind of left that one in the middle of the court on the forehand side. It's just important for Holt to keep moving in a little bit more on that forehand, taking ground.
And again, we'll get back to that match as soon as Brandon Holt begins his 4-5 service game. Very quietly, 19-year-old Zach Svida 1 game away from a second career pro title. Meanwhile, Aaron Cayetano drops that first set, struggled on serve at the end of set number 1. Now a 3-1 lead here over 14-year-old Iva Jovic. We have a running bit on our Crack Rackets podcast that gets me in trouble from time to time because the GOAT conversation is such a hot spot, right, for debate. The way we frame it here at Crack Rackets, not who is the greatest of all time, but who hasn't been eliminated from the greatest of all time conversation. Like, you know, I was eliminated by the time I was 12. I think when you won the NCAA title in 10, it was like, okay, not eliminated yet, but, you know, still in the mix. But then, you know, probably 2015, it was like, okay, it's probably not going to be BK. I'll tell you this, Iva Jovic, 14 years old, not eliminated yet from the greatest of all time conversation, BK.
I like that look at it. That's, you know, gives everyone a little bit more of a...
It's a glass half full approach.
Yeah, that's a very positive spin on a debate that can get very...
tribal.
Can generate a lot of eye rolls. Like, are we really having this again? Let's just appreciate what, you know, at least on the men's side, let's just appreciate what these guys have been able to do for so long. I mean, let's, you know, and also, you know, I like to look at not just, yes, you have Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, but look at the level below that and the consistency. Roddick, you know, it has to, like, the consistency from Roddick over his career is just, I have no words for it. Ferrer, Tsonga,
Simona, it's a women's side. Simona Halep's won 65% of her matches in every season since 2014. That's a decade of WTA. Like, that's ridiculous. A decade in the top 10 is nuts.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's like, how does your body still work?
Right. Oh,
yeah.
I don't even ask. You don't ask.
Yeah, I'm not the wrong guy to ask. You're absolutely right. As we see, by the way, loose game from Cayetano broken 4-3-2. So here we're back in our men's singles final. Brandon Holt won 4 ITF titles earlier this season. He's competing down in Cancun. Won the title in Nottingham as well. Just a little, it's the body language for Brandon. I don't think I've ever seen him look this dejected.
Yeah, just a little lackadaisical with the feet. The first serve percentage again, just when you're
kind of spinning it in.
Yeah, I like that play, actually spinning in, getting it out of Zvaida's strike zone. He had the forehands to hit, but you could see he let Zvaida off the hook a little bit. Zvaida got back in the point, improved his core position, and then just went to work on the Holt backhand.
And so 2 championship points for Zach Zvaida. Folks, it's the Spider-Man. 7-5, 6-4. A second pro title for the 19-year-old. And how does he end it? Down, a little backhand magic. Your thoughts on his performance today, BK? What this does for his confidence? Again, only 3 wins coming into the week. Earns himself a futures title here in LA.
This has to feel good for Zach Zvaida after struggling through the first 6 months of the year. Be able to come here, play in his, now his hometown, and against a guy in Brandon Holt who has won so many matches at this futures level and has really been dominant throughout the year at the level. And to be able to kind of impose his will, use that backhand down the line effectively. And, I have to say, I was probably most impressed with Zvaida's shot tolerance in the points, especially late in games, late in sets. Not looking to bail out and go for the home run shot, playing aggressively, but within his own game. And, I think that last point was a perfect example. I kept waiting for him to, he had the line forehand when he wanted it. He stayed patient, waited for Holt to drop one in the middle of the court. And Zvaida's backhand is really the money maker. And to finish it off like that, you could see the confidence in his ability to step in there.
Absolutely. So again, 19-year-old Zach Zvaida, 7-5, 6-4, week 1 in LA. He's your men's singles champion. We go back now to our final match here at the Jack Kramer Club. Alex Gruskin, joined by Bradley Klon. To watch 14-year-old Iva Jovic on the far side of your screen. Was down an early break here in set number 2. Cayetano has gotten that break back. Now 30-all. It's really easy to say up here in the booth, just too many missed returns, right? Like, again, a second serve there for Cayetano. I think Jovic has won, and again, she struggled on her second serve throughout the course of this match. Every point she's won on that second serve has to be a missed Cayetano return.
Yeah, it's easy to say from here. It's tough if you're Cayetano, it's just settling, you can see she just gets a little ahead of herself, just calming that upper body, recognizing that she's got a lot of court to play with. And as you start to see the pressure build, she dropped the first set, she lost that break. When you're constantly playing from behind and battling, it's easy to get those nerves, get a little bit tense in the upper body, start muscling the ball a little bit more instead of just letting that relaxed hand go through, and the feet stop, the upper body tries to compensate, and you see a lot of the air start to creep in.
I do feel like for Cayetano, and you never want to, again, Cayetano's a killer. She's got this speed, she's got this gear of, I can play power tennis that my opponent can't match. question would be with Cayetano, because you don't want to take that away from her. At the same time, how do you find the 75% ball? How do you find that middle gear, that neutral shift it feels like that she just doesn't seem to have?
Yeah, the physicality has to come from the legs, and you really have to work hard with the legs to be in as good a position as possible and find kind of that proactive, like confronting the ball is maybe not the right word, but like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, like you want to own the ball. You want to be on top of the ball. You want to be over it and be able to select where you want to go with it. And that comes from proactive feet, moving to the ball, and then just letting the racket kind of flow through. The momentum has to carry you through. If you're kind of stopping, starting, little feet up to the ball, and then trying to generate all the pace with the arm, you're gonna lose some of that consistency.
We saw such great proactive footwork on that last forehand, right, to find that inside out. That's the example right there as we go 15-0, second serve coming. Just long off the racket of Jovic. I'm all in on the backhand for Jovic, just how easy it is for her to absorb and redirect.
She's really done a great job of neutralizing Cayetano's forehand and that pace. I've been really impressed to see that continue to hold up as we get later into the match.
Just wide there, double fault number 4 for Cayetano, who looks at the chair as if to say, "You sure?" That one may have clipped in her mind, but 30-all now here.
This is really important for Cayetano. Really needs to get back to basics here. Find that bread and butter serve forehand +1 and take control of the point.
Loved that serve. Really liked, again, how simple that was, but just overcooked.
Yeah, she, there again is a little bit of the nerves or the tension. You could see she just wasn't quite up to that ball. Right arm got a little bit too far extended, and then she tries to arm it, and you can see the trajectory. Not what we're used to seeing from her.
And I apologize. I know our video a bit glitchy here. Cayetano's setting on this forehand. She's going to do something with it. I believe that ball lands. Yes, we're back to deuce here, and apologies again. Track tennis cameras going to need to be reset. Alex Gruskin joined here by Bradley Klon. Second set here, Iva Jovic, Aaron Cayetano, the 14-year-old Jovic, winning her past 3 games here in the set. Here it's a deuce point, and I will say, as we wait for this camera to reset here, this is one of those little things that we're not thinking about in the moment. But BK, we might get to call the first pro title of Iva Jovic's career. We might get to look back when she's in the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. She'll say it always started with that Cracked Racquets broadcast.
The start of something special.
Yeah, exactly. Just again, 14 years old in a pro final. 14 years old means what? Doing the math in my head, I don't like it.
Freshman year, high
yeah,
school?
It's like 2008, 2009. Again, I was bar mitzvahed. Yeah, you were.
I was a freshman, and
you had played a junior slam.
No
Junior slam yet.
No junior slam.
All
I
right.
great way to save great point there. My first, well,
I know. I mean, Iva Jovic, the #1 rated freshman in the nation according to Tennis Recruiting. Look at the UTRs. She'll be on that list as well. Yeah, in 2008, we were still reading Tennis Recruiting. We weren't going to the UTR pathway yet.
Yeah, UTR was
in its nascent stages.
Yeah,
Nice forehand from Cayetano there. Yourself a game point chance. This is the game, right? Again, if you lose 4 straight here for Cayetano, you could see things slipping away.
Yeah, you can see her really buckling down here too. It's great to see just that mental fortitude to recognize the importance of the situation, saving a couple break points, going back to what's got her to this point in the final, relying on that aggressive forehand.
Cayetano gets the hold 4-4-3 here. Keeps on pace in set number 2. Again, week number 1 of the SoCal Pro Circuit here in Los Angeles. We've got 2 weeks to go. And of course, we're so fortunate to have the opportunity to speak with so many different people in the build up to this week's event about the importance of this SoCal Pro Circuit. One of them happens to be the coach of one of our players here competing today, Iva Jovic. Of course, that's Coach Peter Smith, 5-time national champion while at USC, who discussed the importance of having these local pro events in the Southern California community. From May to September in 2021, there were 9 pro circuit events for the men in the United States at the ITF level. In Europe, during that same stretch of time, there were 108. Obviously, that's quite the disparity. How important is it for them to have these local opportunities? As you mentioned, was that something you felt was missing throughout your coaching tenure?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of ways to get competition. But to me, for a 17 through, 23-year-old, whatever age, these opportunities are priceless, and they're so, so important. So there's lots of opportunities, but to play at ITF where there's ATP points and WTA points, there's a much different intensity when people are playing for those world ranking points. And so this is very, very important. And Southern Cal tennis historically is the best tennis in the world. Look at all of the great tennis players that have come out of here and are still coming out of Southern Cal. So it's super important that these players have these opportunities in their backyard.
I have the research. The research has been assembled. Back down here, Iva Jovic, Team Love in her 3-4 service game. You may hear it in the background here of your stream. Trophy ceremony going over in our men's singles final. Speaking of Peter Smith, I hear they just introduced him to the court. Tune in to that. You can find that individual stream, I suppose, on the USTA SoCal website. Double fault there from Jovic, just her second of the match. Jovic 9 of 26 on the second serve overall, 2 and 11 on the second serve here in set number 2. That's an amazing stat from John Parsons. Should Iva Jovic get the job done today, she will have as many ITF Pro Circuit titles in her career as she will junior titles on the ITF circuit. That would be remarkable.
That's getting a jump start on your pro career.
Yeah, that counts. I agree. And again, I don't want to jinx anything, but the company she would be keeping here are players who have won titles at the age of 14. Justine Henin, Anna Kournikova, Dinara Safina, just to name a few.
Pretty good careers, really.
Yeah, they were okay. They were okay. I think Henin would have been better with a two-handed backhand, but that's a discussion for a different time.
Explain.
No, that's also a lie. Yeah, it's just actually not true. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good joke, though. Yeah. Henin's another one of those players I always joke around that whenever people say people don't talk enough about, it's like, well, what would you like them to talk? What's the appropriate amount?
Right.
But Henin doesn't get an appropriate, again, in this 21st century, Serena, Henin, is that two in this era? It's not unequivocally no.
Yeah.
Nice return there from Cayetano. It does also feel yes, I know this scoreboard again, 40-15, and Jovic has been on a run of late, but Cayetano is one of those players who can turn it on, who just is capable to win 9 points in a row as she is to lose now.
Certainly. You saw, this is still danger territory for Jovic. Really important for her to get out of this game with a first serve here. You saw Cayetano did a really good job of attacking that serve and not letting it get up above her shoulders. Again, another really strong return from Cayetano. Jovic giving her another second serve. She's starting to find that confidence on the backhand second serve return, taking it a step earlier, just beneath the shoulders, where she can get all that good weight transfer and really control the return a bit better.
Sprays on the backhand there. No, it's definitely, it's something. It's something, this Erin Cayetano game. There's definitely, again, clay to be molded, it feels like. You can't teach the springiness, the explosion. Finding the best ways to channel that likely will determine the ceiling moving forward, but right now, Iva Jovic, point chance here.
Yeah, the shot selection will come, especially that you've seen twice in this game alone, that backhand down the line, just overcooked wide.
Service return on the service line. It's impressive. Then she retreats though. That's the piece that's interesting to me. And I guess that's some respect for Jovic on the run. We saw her lace that backhand down the line, but it's an interesting tactic.
It's a fine line though, because obviously if you take it too early and you're forced to retreat, you're taking your own time away from you. What's that right balance? It gives you the aggression, but also puts you in proper court position for the next shot.
Is back as we see Erin Cayetano earning herself chance number 7 coming up. Meanwhile, again, as you see on your screen, those of you tuning in, trivia questions still open. 7 women to win multiple Indian Wells singles titles. All you got to do, get yourself a shot at a free lesson with Paul Annacone. Name one of them. One of the women. Wide there. The persistence of Iva Jovic. That's the other thing that stood out to me.
Yeah, this is really impressive. Just getting, securing that first set, down 3-0 in the second. It's really easy to lose focus, let that almost slip away. Gets it back and has the opportunities to go up 4-3. And, when you get those opportunities, you're almost starting to sense, like, you can kind of smell the finish line. Now to have to battle back here at 3-4 and stay in this second set. A couple gifts there from Cayetano, but a good job here from Jovic to kind of weather the downs on her own serve and hang tough.
Another break point chance coming up for Cayetano. And Cayetano looking to become the second player during this SoCal Pro Circuit to sweep both the singles and doubles titles at a single event. First player, of course, August Holmgren, NCAA singles finalist at week 1 in San Diego, over in Rancho Santa Fe. Backhand. Back to deuce. Slice, forehand return. That's got to be the first one she's hit.
Yeah, looked to be a little caught there. Just
a
little indecisive and
short angle. Again, what she chooses, but game points here for Jovic. And again, anyone tuning in today, thoughts on the match, questions for BK here in the booth, just fire into that YouTube conversation. Find us at Alex Gruskin, at Bradley Klon on Twitter as well. See Jovic hold for all. I will say I was scrolling Twitter just to see what was the last thing Bradley Klon tweeted. It was me. It was Alex Gruskin retweet of our podcast from a month ago, or 2 months ago, however long it may be. Fantastic conversation all of you can find on the Great Shot podcast feed, where we got to talk about everything. Obviously Brad's gone so many different things throughout the course of your career. We got to deep dive. I got to nerd out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of Thatcher conversation, probably too much. I got excited. I won't lie. I would have edited out maybe 6 of the minutes in retrospect.
Yeah, that was a really fun conversation. It's always a pleasure to join you guys on the podcast, and a big fan of everything you guys do and covering tennis and kind of building your own brand there. And it was really fun to kick back and cover all things tennis, a little bit of my career, and have a good time doing it.
Absolutely. It's so fun here at Cracked Racquets. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. 2011, I can tell you exactly where I was following the Stanford, Virginia quarterfinal at home. Like, these are the formative years, and to get to do this, believe me, the pleasure is all mine, BK. And so we see here Aaron Cayetano 4-all. It's an interesting play, the short. I mean, I think I've seen Jovic hit 2 volleys in this match.
Yeah, that was really nice variety from Cayetano, just bringing her in. We haven't seen many slice backhands from her in general either. It's normally been the power game from Cayetano and kind of that relentless aggression, but definitely something for her to note and keep in the back of her mind as this match wears on. Just bringing Jovic forward against her will.
Freely, that court position definitely has improved. She finds herself inside the baseline, pressing forward now. Third and above here as our scoreboard goes down for the moment.
Bigger, more patient hitting from Cayetano there. Showing that willingness to stay in the forehand-to-forehand rally, recognizing that she has the upper hand and only changing when she's in control, in position, and able to really redirect that with a lot of margin.
She's got herself 3 game point chances here to stay out in front. Of course, it was the back half of the first set where things got interesting. Perhaps this back half of the second set going to provide some entertainment as well. Aaron Cayetano, your doubles champion this week at Jack Kramer Club. Also now 5-4 lead on serve here, set number 2 in our women's singles final. I know we already heard from Peter Smith a bit earlier about the importance of these local pro events. I want to, if we can, super producer Daniel Westhoff, let's hear from Coach Smith about this Kramer Club and, you know, again, the opportunity to host a pro event here in front of the Kramer Club members. And as you mentioned, big week coming up at the Kramer Club. You guys are hosting one of the SoCal Pro Circuit events. Obviously, you know, Southern California tennis in particular has meant so much to you throughout your career. Why was it important for you and the Kramer Club to get involved in this circuit of pro events?
Well, if you're not going to do it, who's going to do it? You know, I really believe that tennis has been so good to me. And, you know, just to give back. I mean, you get to know the players at a different level, and it really, you stay connected to the game. You know, fortunately, you know, the board of directors at Jack Kramer Club, you know, liked my idea. You know, I think opening up a nicer club, like a Jack Kramer Club for the guys and girls to play at for the week, is a really great experience. Hopefully we have great crowds and my members and others appreciate it. But, you know, to me, it's just about, like, these kids need opportunities. And Chris.
Fourteen-year-old Eva Jovic serving here. 4-5. Jovic making just 50% of her first serves here in the second set, but 15 of 18 on first serve points. She's 30 of 38 behind her first serve in this match. When she lands it, it's been the most effective combination, or I suppose starter, on the court here today. Nice though from Cayetano. How many times have we seen that? Again, this is a very similar dynamic. Second serve rolled in, Cayetano going to swing freely.
Yeah.
First serve landed, Jovic doing the dictating.
You can see she's really starting to get a read on the second serve. Jovic is, she's afraid to go to the forehand with that second serve, just rolling it into the backhand. Yeah, I actually love that serve from Jovic to challenge the Cayetano forehand. It was just too well struck from Aaron. Yeah, it's actually, even for players with huge forehand, most players have an easier time returning on the backhand side. It's a little bit more compact, especially when you have a big serve coming in. You need that short backswing. Especially with those Western grips, like we see Cayetano have a little bit more Western, able to generate a lot of that spin, and that's what produces that huge power from the back of the court. Can actually be a bit of a liability or just more of a weakness on a good first serve return.
Cayetano already 2 steps inside that baseline. Well, that was a choice there. Cayetano electing to back up on that return of serve, BK. It paid dividends. Yeah,
good job. She actually looked like she was starting in, retreated back, but did a nice job handling that backhand and just recognizing the importance of the situation, 30-all, not going for too much, getting herself in the point and looking for the forehand to go to work.
Aaron Cayetano forcing the third set. It happened quickly, folks. Felt like Jovic had her chances, maybe to take a 5-3 lead. Unable to do so, and Aaron Cayetano now forcing the third set here. It's only fitting on a championship Sunday, right? You get a 3-set match to decide things.
You need one 3-set match. Yeah. They certainly had, even the men's final, certainly a lot of ups and downs, scoreboards, Vida getting out to the lead. And like we saw, it always felt like Vida was kind of pushing the envelope there, and Holt would claw his way back, but could never really get his toes in front. And Cayetano here felt that a little bit in the first set, and then was able to get out ahead. Finally got a little bit of breathing room and actually coughed it up, but did a really good job steadying down there. Like you mentioned, that 3-all game was so pivotal for her to save those break points, keep her nose in front, and then put the pressure back on Jovic.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we see, I believe, both players leaving the court here. At least I believe I saw Cayetano leave the court. With that said, again, have had the opportunity to speak with so many of the supporters of our Cracked Racquets broadcast in this SoCal Pro Circuit. Want you to hear from them all as well. We have more from Peter Smith. Want to play a clip for you about him and the importance of these tournaments in the SoCal area. Also want to once again play our clip from Bruce Klieg, why it was so important for families like the Klieg families, Southern California Tennis Association Foundation, and others to invest in this grassroots event. Super producer Dana Westoff, let's play those clips as we wait for our deciding set to begin. In terms of building tennis at the grassroots, you talked about being able to bring this event to the Kramer Club and be able to show it to your members. Is that a value as we look at building tennis, American tennis in particular? How valuable is that piece to show, this level of tennis to people who may not otherwise be exposed to it?
Yeah, I mean, for the members, I keep telling them, you are not going to believe how good this tennis is. You're not going to believe the quality. You're not going to believe the intensity. And we host a college tournament, which is incredible. It blows all the members' minds. And I would say another very important reason is, we have a very big junior program, very successful junior program at the club. It's very important for me to show these juniors, hey, this is what you can have. This is what you can aspire to be. Look, I think 99.9% of kids should go to college, but the vast majority, has got a dream. And all of these kids should dream about being professional tennis players. And this is the foundation. This is the starting block. If you're a professional tennis player, this is where you got to start.
The financial commitment it takes, and, again, being willing to invest in this grassroots level of tennis. Why was that so important to you?
Well, again, I didn't want somebody to be 40 years old that went through all the junior programs and practice 3-5 hours a day for their whole life to have to default into teaching and not pursue their dream. This is a way for somebody to pursue their dream, at least have a shot. And I think we've accomplished a lot of that the way it is right now. We'd like to refine it, maybe go into satellite type of event also. But when I look at it today, and I've talked to a lot of the players, they get one ticket. That's the San Diego. They can stay here for 4 weeks, and they've got 60 other people to practice with at a very high level, which improves their game tremendously. And they have a shot of playing these tournaments right here, all in one place. A lot of the people have housing with families in this area right here, and we'd like to expand that even more. And that's important because the housing costs you a lot of money, especially in the summertime in San Diego. So the cost is the big thing right here. And I think by having them in the same geographic area, it worked out. Now, I think it was important for us to go up to 6 tournaments instead of just having 3 in San Diego. Because we can include Los Angeles. Now, Los Angeles is only, an hour and a half away from San Diego. It's very easy for people to get from San Diego to there. So now when you think about it, they have one ticket to San Diego, one ticket back out. And for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, they're in an area with 60 other people to play with and get excellent practice and have an opportunity to pursue their dream. That's what we're doing.
From May to September in 2021, there were 9 pro circuit events for the men in the United States at the ITF level. In Europe, during that same stretch of time, there were 108. Obviously, that's quite the disparity. How important is it for them to have these local opportunities? As you mentioned, was that something you felt was missing throughout your coaching tenure?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of ways to get competition. But to me, for a 17 through 23-year-old, whatever age, these opportunities are priceless, and they're so important. So there's lots of opportunities, but to play at ITF where there's ATP points and WTA points, there's a much different intensity when people are playing for those world ranking points. And so this is very, very important. And Southern Cal tennis historically is the best tennis in the world. Look at all of the great tennis players that have come out of here and are still coming out of Southern Cal. So it's super important that these players have these opportunities in their backyard.
Welcome back, everyone. Deciding set here in our women's singles final match of week number 4 of the SoCal Pro Circuit. Alex Gruskin joined by the All-American champion, top 100 player Bradley Klahn. Now we're watching Cayetano, wild card, dropping the first set. Cayetano 39-11 again. This season for USC, was ranked as high as #1 in the country at points throughout the course of the year. It's been a very streaky match for her BK. Just again, for Cayetano, was up 3-love in the second set, drops 3 straight games. 3 of the last 4 go her way for the clinch. Heading into this third set, which way are you leaning?
Yeah, I think, it's on Cayetano's racket, obviously, as we've seen. We saw in the later stages of that second set, she started to build more and more confidence, especially on the Jovic serve, able to get on top of those second serves and just play more within herself. It's up to Cayetano. Is she able to rein it in to play high percentage tennis while keeping that same aggression and just slowly wear down Jovic? Or is she liable to throw in a few airs like that one, 40-love? That's
That's why you build the 40-love lead.
Nothing to sneeze over, but that's really what I'm looking for. Is can Cayetano keep this controlled aggression through the third set and do it consistently?
Okay, it's going to be fascinating to see. 40-15 game point chance here for Cayetano. And the return goes into the net. So Cayetano, the 1-love lead here in set number 3. Of course, all of you tuning into the stream just got to hear from Bruce Klieg, Peter Smith, 2 of the supporters of this SoCal Pro Circuit. But of course, it takes a mountain to help this sort of action come to be. And we got to give a massive thank you to the ITF, USTA, of course, our friends at Wilson, providing rackets, balls for generations of tennis players. Now, if it's good enough for Roger Federer, simply put, it's good enough for you. Of course, Crable family, Klieg family for their individual support. The Bryan brothers, Pied Pipers of all things SoCal Pro Tennis. Thank you to the Southern California Tennis Association Foundation as well. Again, we've talked about the importance of these events, providing these playing opportunities at the pro circuit level for the 14-year-olds of the world like Jovic, for the rising collegiate talents like Cayetano. It's been a hell of a week at the Kramer Club. We've got a deciding set still to go. Iva Jovic, 14 years old. See, I knew we were going to jinx her if we talked about any of the here's the other 14-year-olds who have won. But 21 14-year-olds in ITF Tour history, 21 players in the last quarter of a century have won a pro title at the age of 14. She can put herself in that category. Joined Brenda Fruvertova, who did it earlier this season as well. A list of players to do it. Times are changing. Times are changing.
I'm really eager to see how Jovic handles dropping her first set of the tournament, being that close to the final. It's her first pro event. She has such a tremendous upside here. How does she respond going into this third set? The physicality of it, and just kind of that relentless pursuit from Cayetano off her forehand side.
Question here. What does Jovic do to play a little offense, play on her terms?
I think she started off this game great. That ace up the tee. First serves are going to be massive for her. And just an ability to hold her court position on the baseline, not get too pushed back by the Cayetano forehand. It's really going to challenge her physically in this third set to keep that court position and keep that aggression. That'll help her kind of keep the depth with the ground strokes. As she starts to drop back a little, Cayetano's going to have more looks at forehands.
Ooh, good leave, and again, call confirmed. The far linesman. 15 game point chances, yes. Iva Jovic, 54% first serve percentage for the 14-year-old in today's match.
You know, I was just laughing about her calling her own lines. That is an adjustment to the pros from the juniors. Used to calling your own lines, even in college, but you get into the pros, and even with only a few linesmen on court, all lines are covered.
I know it's tough at the lower levels, but I think at the slams, when they have replay technology, they should force the players to call their own lines. And it's just like, let's see who's a cheater. Let's see who's not. Like, let's put it out there.
You want to see how good or bad a sportsmanship someone's got?
Like, you just know for a fact. I mean, I'm not going to say any names, but there are some people who, like, would 1,000% be like, no, just missed it.
Yeah.
Just a little back.
Yeah. Well, we'll shout out some good sportsmanship. I don't know if you saw Alcarez against Ate actually giving up the point on a overrule. Ball was called out after Ate had already gone around the post.
Yeah.
And Alcarez gave him the point instead of replaying it. So
didn't Alcarez only lose like 3 games in that match?
I mean, look, he was already up 6-3, ended up winning 6-3, 6-1, 6-2, I think.
Yeah.
But it's not the first time I've seen him do it, and I've seen him do it in some bigger matches. So definitely something to be applauded for.
Absolutely. No, he is, again, big fan of the future that is Carlos Alcaraz. Another guy, we joked about it. I don't remember if it was on or off. I think it was on camera. Another guy not eliminated from the GOAT discussion yet. Carlos Alcaraz, not yet eliminated. Nor is the player who defeated him today, Jannik Sinner at Wimbledon.
You know, it might take a while for Alcaraz to be eliminated from that conversation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We've got like a decade. It's like he's for sure not. It's like Tsitsipas, you know, Zverev, Medvedev, with all due respect, 4 years ago, not eliminated. 4 years later, they're eliminated. Yeah, it's like Alcaraz, the range of possibilities, the outer bounds is 24 majors. Yeah.
I think we will be hard-pressed to see another era like these three.
Three there, by the way. Speaking of success, new trivia question up on your screen. I actually gave the answer to this a bit earlier. The only player to sweep both singles and doubles at the SoCal Pro Circuit here this season.
Oh, good. Really testing everyone's ears.
Yeah, were you paying attention, folks? Don't ignore me. Yeah, tennis is 1A while you're here, but I'm 1B.
Pop quiz action.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. It literally pop quiz. What was the score in Svida Holt? Go. Yeah, first in the chat. Yeah, guaranteed a hat. Oh, man, I thought that ball was going sailing on Cayetano. It drops in. That's a hell of a +1 forehand.
That is spreading the court from sideline to sideline. That short kick, not a lot of pace, but that serve is meant to beat the opponent with placement. You can see Jovic out of the screen to hit that return, and then just pinpoint accuracy on the forehand.
hesitations from Cayetano moving forward.
Yeah, I'd love to see her continue to move forward off that forehand. She did a great job setting the point up. She got caught in no man's land a little bit there, and that's one of those cases where it's really important to keep charging hard all the way through the volley. Look to try and take that in the air, take that time away from Jovic. The volley doesn't have to do much, just keeping the racket still, placing it over there in the open court.
Certainly look for Erin Cayetano. One of my favorite things about Cayetano, when she does miss, she really misses. And I like that. It's like, if you're going to miss, don't waste it. Don't waste the unforced error.
There are definitely good misses and bad misses.
Exactly.
You want a committed miss.
Cayetano, one of those rare unforced errors out of Iva Jovic. So Cayetano holding to stay out in front 2-1. Again, this is week number 1 of 3 consecutive weeks of SoCal Pro Circuit play. We head to Fountain Valley, the Los Cabos Sports Village. Next week, continuation, men's and women's singles and doubles action. We'll have semifinals and singles on Saturday, doubles championship Saturday as well, before our championship Sunday matches. Then we head to the Lakewood Tennis Center, a little men's women's final tournament of the SoCal Pro Circuit. It's going to be busy times for us here at Cracked Racquets. That same week, we've got Madison Keys, charity event in Iowa. That'll be that Thursday, Friday. So we'll have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday tennis for you Cracked Racquets fans here on our YouTube channel. How much time did you spend in Iowa? You mentioned your mom, obviously a former University of Iowa tennis player back in the day. You get to spend some time in Des Moines over the years?
Yeah, I was actually just back in. So my grandmother used to live in Davenport, Iowa. My dad grew up there. So I was back in Davenport, Iowa last fall, and we went over to the University of Iowa homecoming, went to the Iowa-Purdue game. I've got quite a few family members that went to the University of Iowa, so it's fun to kind of get our first Big Ten football experience for my brother and I, and it's a different beast out there, coming from Stanford football, and as great as Stanford football was, there's nothing quite like a game day of the Big Ten.
Have you seriously? Have you played at the Iowa All Lawn Tennis Club where the charity event's being held?
I have not.
Okay. Didn't get the invite? I feel like you're Iowa tennis royalty. Yeah, we're making the Mount Rushmore. It's you, Madison, Chuck Grassley.
I never lived there.
Okay, fair enough.
That would be a bit of a stretch. Born and raised in San Diego.
Yeah. Fair. With all that said, again, 15-0. Here, Iva Jovic, 14 years old, serving on the far side of your screen. Taking on 2022 All-American Erin Cayetano, partnering with Selma Ewing. In the doubles championship yesterday in 3 sets. Here's a fun fact for all of you tennis fans tuning in. Right now, center court at Wimbledon, Tim van Rijthoven had never won an ATP level match prior to the start of this grass court season, wins a title in week 1 on the grass. takes the second set from Novak Djokovic 6-4. So they split the opening 2 sets, 70 minutes till the curfew at Wimbledon. I think that match is going to be carrying over, BK, because I'll tell you what, TVR can play.
What a run he's been on the last few weeks on the grass.
It's a joke. It's crazy. Literally, it's just like, I mean, again, every time I expect the ball to hit the back fence, and it just doesn't. It's unbelievable. Now Cayetano working her magic.
Cayetano showing off a bit of that defense.
And with that, breakup serve, 3-1 lead. So Cayetano has taken control. This, I mean, you know, it was so fascinating because Jovic gave nothing away for free, right? The first 2 sets. And looking now, the problem is Cayetano has found her rhythm. So I'm going to ask you from the flip side after this point, BK, what does Jovic do to change the rhythm of the match? How can she throw Cayetano off at this point?
A good deep return right down the middle, apparently.
Yeah, well, I think Cayetano's arguing that serve was out, and that Cayetano's like, why? Because she just did not look prepared to hit that forehand in the slightest.
I'd have had a point.
Yeah. And so, if you're Jovic here, what are you trying to do?
Yeah, I think you really need to start mixing up the pace, showing a little bit of variety, changing the heights, changing the spins. Do something to get Cayetano out of that rhythm. She's really finding that aggressive play. She's able to control the point with the forehand. You see there again. I think that one dropped.
I was going to say, look, given we would have seen Jovic call it out, is always my argument. And so that she didn't, I feel like it had to have dropped good.
Yeah. So just have to find a way to get Cayetano. You can see she's starting to camp out in this backhand corner and find forehands. So if Jovic is able to actually rush Cayetano to the forehand side and then get to the backhand a little bit more, I think she'll have a little bit more success.
Talked a lot about Jovic's ability to get that ball at shoulder height for Cayetano. Is that something you try to change up now as well when you talk about the variety, is maybe more drive as opposed to high and heavy?
Yeah, you know, I think actually Jovic, she's been able to get it up to Cayetano's backhand on her serve, but she drives that backhand well. I think just mixing it up in and out of the strike zone, pulling her forward, you know, one thing we haven't seen Cayetano do is really look to move forward that much for as much double success as she's had, like actually into the net. What I mean by that, she's moving into the court well, moving well in and out, but we've seen a couple times where she's hit those balls and actually stopped and backpedaled. We've seen it on the returns as well, so maybe a couple short slices. See if she can draw her in on Jovic's terms, and then look for that kind of 1 or 2 pass.
30 all now for Cayetano.
Oh.
Momentum shifts have been key throughout the course of this match. No one's really firmly grab a hold of it. Of course, as we saw in our men's singles finals, X5 was really ahead from the start. Brandon Holt had to chase so much. Fights off a break point.
Jovic have done a great job neutralizing that serve. We've seen Cayetano go to that play a few times when she really needs a point. That slow kick serve wide, immediately moving to her left to find a forehand. And Jovic actually did a really good job with extending her arms on that backhand and landing it within a few feet of the baseline. Just not able to capitalize.
Good play. Tough ball to execute, certainly. So it's a break point chance now for Jovic. The kick serve for Cayetano. So effective and so routinely hit. What, it buys her time to find the forehand? Is that why that's the serve there?
Yeah, she's able to spread the court. She's pulling Jovic off the court. It's really hard to redirect that down the line. And when you're off the court more, that ball actually has a natural path that's coming back in towards the middle of the court anyway. So it gives Cayetano a better look at a forehand.
Oh, no. Easy forehand to the open court, and that's the one Cayetano misses. And so, tell me if you've heard this before, we're back on serve here in our third set. Alex Gruskin joined by Bradley Klahn. Again, BK, 2.5 hours into this match, not a lot separating our two singles finalists. The 14-year-old Jovic, playing in her first pro circuit main draw, does not drop a set on her way to the final. If we can, super producer Daniel Westhoff, let's pull up that pathway for Jovic as she gets to this final. All straight set victories for the 14-year-old. So impressive yesterday in a win over rising UCLA sophomore Kimmy Hance, over former UCLA All-American Jada Hart. And again, a couple of first sets, but pretty lopsided down the home stretch. What's crazy to me is just physically, we haven't seen any wear from Jovic in this match. She has been the steady presence, it felt like, and from the start, and we really haven't seen any frustration out of her either.
Yeah, I think that's something that I was looking for to see how she handled the physicality of Cayetano. Slowly starting to, I was maybe expecting her to start wearing Jovic down, but she did a great job there fighting back. You can see her start to raise her level when she was down, and I think that's really impressive to see the maturity of the 14-year-old bouncing back, hanging tough, and trying to kind of impose her will back on Cayetano.
See Jovic here. Just earned the break. By the way, you'll see on the top right of your screen, 45's on the hour. It's time for a traffic, aka trivia update. Sticking with a SoCal Pro Circuit theme, both Cayetano and Jovic would be capturing their first Pro Circuit titles of their careers today in singles. Cayetano getting her first professional doubles title yesterday. What other player during this SoCal Pro Circuit run won both her first singles and doubles professional titles over in San Diego? That's our question. Again, the opportunity to win a free Crack Rackets hat, a 30-minute video lesson from legendary coach Paul Annacone. Trivia question to you, BK. Where did Paul Annacone go to college?
Tennessee.
Correct. Bravo. This is why he's here, folks. This is why he's the expert. Well done for BK. No prep. Get this man a hat, Westhoff.
I've played the Knoxville Challenger before.
Yeah. It's a very good point. Of course, for both of these players making that next progression to the Challenger or 75K, 100K level, as it's more colloquially referred to on the women's side. I mean, again, I know it's a silly question, and it seems pretty straightforward. How difficult is that grind of starting from base point 0? like, again, looking for you, I'm sure being an NCAA singles champion helped get you into some bigger events early on. People knew who Bradley Klahn was. They'll know about Cayetano, about Jovic, certainly, but how difficult is that futures grind?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. Look, I benefited from a couple challenger wild cards right out of college. But that said, like, you have to go and do something with those wild cards. And, you know, one thing I learned pretty early on was just important being there day in, day out and trying to win matches. And just the more matches you win, it sounds simple enough, but you just give yourself another opportunity to play, to compete, to learn, and to put yourself in new situations. And so it's all about finding a way to get to another day. It's saying it's difficult is probably an understatement, just because there's a lot of external factors involved. There's the travel, you're changing surfaces, conditions. Everybody's hungry at that level, and there's not a lot of money in it. So the goal is to get out of that level as quickly as possible. That's you have to go to those events with the mindset of, I'm here for a job. My job is to win matches. Yes, you want to improve, and you'll improve by continuing to play. But what can I do on this day to beat this opponent and to level up?
Learning today, it's staying solid. Just again, stay in the fight. She holds 4-3 all. We got a great question from John Parsons in our chat. Jay, I'm going to ask, we're going to hold that to our next changeover as we lock in here on this 3-all service game. That's a good one. I like that question from John Parsons. Trivia question also on the board for those who are interested. Win that free gear. Potentially earn a free 30-minute lesson video tutorial from Paul Annacone. All you gotta do is answer the trivia questions on the top right of your screen. Are you kidding me?
The ability to create that angle from the middle of the court with that much pace is incredible.
Especially, it's not as though Jovic provided her anything to work with. That was all Cayetano manufactured.
A dead ball from the middle of the court, that is so hard to create that angle.
Special stuff. Again, the racket talent, there's no denying with Aaron Cayetano. Oh. I mean, back-to-back +1 forehands, just laced. This is where you gotta wonder, again, the opportunity here. For Cayetano. Does feel like she has seized the momentum. Feels like she's playing a little bit more comfortably. Jovic more in survival mode right now. 30 love here for 21-year-old.
Yeah, she's definitely getting in control and on top of these forehands, and you can see Jovic is holding on for dear life a little bit, especially in this game. But that is the importance, if you're Jovic, of just continuing to apply that scoreboard pressure, continuing to keep yourself in. We've seen Cayetano's game fluctuate a little bit more as the sets wear on. You, Jovic, just want to give yourself a chance late in this set.
Absolutely, and right now, Cayetano 4-3 lead out in front. So, the question we were asked by one John Parsons, it's a tough one. for you, BK. And if you got to take the cop-out route, I'm not going to be offended on this one because I might as well. Overlapping with you during your years at Stanford were some very good Tennessee teams. Obviously, I think Tennessee made the semifinals that 2011 season in Stanford. They did. Yeah.
2010.
Finals in 2010 as well. And, you know, that team featured guys like a JP Smith, who's been top 100 in the world in doubles and around in the singles rankings forever. They had, obviously, his former doubles partner, Davey Sandgren, older brother of Tennis Sandgren, who played, 4-5 singles on that roster. Of course, they also had a guy by the name of Ryan Williams, who you could argue was one of like the 4 most talented people of that generation. With that in mind, John Parsons asked, speaking of Tennessee, who did Bradley Klom think would have the better pro career? JP Smith, Ryan Williams, or Tennis Sandgren?
Are we judging from college?
I think so. I think that has to be the judge.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going based on talent alone, you have to look at Ryan Williams. I mean, his ability to do different things with the ball, the easy power that he had off the serve and the forehand, and just the loose arm. You know, we always like to joke that he had the Cobra forehand, and I've been lumped into that group as well on the lefty side. But you know, I think if you just look at the talent of Ryan, he had a lot of the hand and the gifts to get there. But you really have to look. I mean, what Tennis Sandgren's been able to do, and just his work ethic and determination, and just, you know, his continual relentlessness of improvement and overcoming the hip surgery, working his way back, and not one but 2 quarterfinals of the Australian Open, I think a round of 16 appearance at Wimbledon. It's been a pretty impressive career.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure Ryan Williams, and I say this completely complimentary, I would like to be clear, he's the John Daly of that era. Like, if you told me he won a match 2-2 with a cigarette in his mouth, I'd be like, I believe it. I'm like, that's a Ryan Williams story for you. And so one of my favorites to watch, certainly, again, the work ethic of Sandgren, the longevity of JP Smith, still out there grinding, you know, week in, week out. That just, you have to have respect for it.
Yeah, I think JP's game is very well suited for the doubles. Just a great lefty serve, around the net, able to keep the ball low from the back of the court, and just closes very well. You know, he was always a tricky out in singles as well. Just the way he moved the ball around the court, he played the serve and volley. You know, a big lefty serve is tough to deal with.
Boy, Cayetano's getting more and more of those off of the return of serve. Just +1 in rhythm moving forward forehands. I'm telling you, I really like the game of Cayetano. I see the pathway for pro success.
Yeah, I really like the way continuing to stick to her game plan, even late in this match, with the nerves, a final, a championship on the line.
No, missed wide by Jovic there. Speaking of nerves, there they are, BK. Good call by you. So 30-40 break point chance here for Erin Cayetano to potentially serve for this match. Again, she would not be the 22nd 14-year-old to win a pro title, but 21 years old, second pro event, sweep singles and doubles potentially. By the way, player to sweep singles and doubles a couple of weeks ago. Not sweep, but win both singles and doubles. First time in her pro career. McKenna Jones able to do it. Of course, McKenna, son of Kelly Jones, former Furman coach. Standout Pepperdine.
That is incredible defense to offense from Jovic there. thought Cayetano was in control of the point, had a couple forehands to hit, and then Jovic able to just flip the switch with one massive cross-court forehand.
This match got very good very quickly. Cayetano's level has raised. I mean, yeah, that short angle forehand might have been the best aggressive forehand we've seen from Jovic in this match.
That's incredible. Off the forehand return from Cayetano. Jovic electing to challenge that forehand. Actually had a pretty good second serve and had Cayetano stretched very far outside the doubles alley, but able to use that angle and return the favor.
Cayetano nearly down a set and a break towards that latter stages of the second set. She has just stayed persistent. Certainly the leader in the unforced error count today, also a significant advantage in the winner count. And now Cayetano, the 21-year-old USC Trojan, a wild card into this event. She will serve for the match.
That's an excellent start when you're looking to serve out the match for a pro title. Serve and volley, haven't seen much of that, but we've seen her double success on display here this week.
That Cayetano forehand can be special. Just does such a good job of opening out space for herself. I'm going to steal this phrase from you moving forward, but spreads the court so well. You're so, like, that's just the perfect way to describe it. It's just absolutely, that's what she does. It's just like you see the space is now open.
Yeah, it's, you know, you can beat an opponent with pace, but again there, I mean, the serve wide, and you can just see how much court she has to go to with that backhand. It's a very safe cross-court backhand that's just not touched because she's able to pull Jovic wide.
Now 3 championship points. Erin Cayetano, a chance at the title sweep. Had to do it. You got to do it.
And second serve and volley, you know, that's why you build the cushion.
Allison Swain, head coach of the USC women's tennis team, has to be sitting on the sideline and saying, I respect that, Erin. Do what you got to do there. So again, championship point number 2 coming. Singles champion at the Jack Kramer Club. It's Erin Cayetano. She earned her first Pro Circuit title yesterday in doubles with teammate Selma Ewing today. A 5-7, 6-4, 6-3 win over 14-year-old Iva Jovic. And again, as we look at today's matchup, Zach Svajda, the 19-year-old, was 3-10 coming into this week's event, he leaves with a singles title. For both Cayetana and Iva Jovic, it was Cayetano's second pro tournament of her career, Jovic's first. Both gained valuable experience. Cayetano gets to leave with some hardware as well. BK, your final thoughts here on Championship Sunday?
Yeah, I think Cayetano showed a great resiliency, fighting back, getting up in that second, kind of losing it. You thought Jovic had turned the second set around, and Cayetano, just the weight and the pace of that forehand, a little bit too much for Jovic at the end, but a lot to look forward to for Iva Jovic, just 14 years old and rolling through the draw until the final. On the men's side, great to see Zach Svajda develop a little bit of that confidence going up against a good friend and training partner and Brandon Holt, who has been playing very confidently and really dominating the Futures circuit to date this year. So, that match, Svajda definitely had his nose out in front the entire match. You kind of felt like Holt was holding on for dear life, but did a good job staying in it, and a great win for Svajda.
Absolutely. Just a fun day of tennis overall. Again, Svajda was out in front from the get-go, but that Jovic-Cayetano match, the sort of back-and-forth affair, we hope to always be able to feature here on our Cracked Racquets broadcast. And again, the good news, still have 2 more weeks to go. We will be back the next 2 Saturdays and Sundays to continue our coverage of the 2022 SoCal Pro Circuit. Of course, that pro coverage always immensely enhanced. I'm trying to compensate here with some Stanford lingo. Immensely enhanced by the presence of one Bradley Klahn. And, again, can't say enough how much we appreciate being able to hear from your perspective, your insight. Of course, always appreciate having you to join us here today. Also appreciate all of the fans who not only engaged with us, but also took the time to answer those trivia questions. And we'll have trivia winners announced for you all on Twitter on Tuesday. I think we're taking a holiday at Cracked Racquets tomorrow, a rare vacation day for us on July 4th. But again, we'll have trivia winners for you on Tuesday. We'll have, of course, continued coverage throughout the course of next weekend as well. With all of that said, final words go to you, BK.
Alex, appreciate you having me on the broadcast. It was a pleasure to watch a couple great finals today at the Kramer Club, and looking forward to the next 2 weeks of tennis here in Southern California.
Absolutely. Well, we will be back next weekend with all that said. From the fantastic Bradley Klahn, for the super producer, Daniel Westhoff, on the ones and twos, who, as always, best in the business, no one you'd rather work with. I am your host, Alex Gruskin. You have been watching our Cracked Racquets coverage of the 2022 SoCal Pro Circuit. We'll see you all next week.